Hello again. I had so much to share with you in our little chat today that I was fit to burst. So, since I have a little bit of time before I have to prepare to meet my an old friend that I taught with for 30 years, we always I taught fifth grade a lot of the time, and she taught fourth, and we became great friends, and we have maintained that friendship and that lunchtime together since we've retired. So these are the result of a trove that I had on Saturday and Sunday. One of the first things that I wanted to share with you was that I have been, since I have, for those of you who know, realize that I have been quite taken by white, and I've also wanted some white leather for my journal embellishments, and so I found these white kid gloves in a mall yesterday, and they're quite large ones. But they are in very nice condition. There's plenty of place to cut on these, and I thought these would be just an extra added embellishment. So that was one thing I picked up. Let me set that aside. Another thing that I found was this pearl belt buckle. Only vintage belt buckles would be found for 25 cents, so you know how old this is, to be in such gorgeous condition, and it is cool. So one would almost believe that this might be a genuine. Could not resist that. White journals did this to me. And I found some oh, you guessed it, white pearl buttons, and I love the 4-hole buttons because you can put such pretty thread in there. So I couldn't resist that, and the price was so right. There are 6 in here for $1. And these little ones, more 4-hole buttons, the kind you might see on better quality men's shirts, because the reason I say better quality is these are cut in such a way that they have a little shelf in there, and you see the pearlized effect. Oh, love them. Another $1. There were many more, but I didn't want to take the time to troll through them, but I'm thinking of going back because, as I said, there were quite a few of these that were available, and I might buy a few to put in my Etsy. And then I found this one. Well, I'm a handkerchief finder, and I loved this. Oh, wow, what a pretty vintage hanky. So this is going to find itself, I'm not going to say white journal again, okay? I just won't. But this is going to find itself scanned. So, then, yesterday, my husband and I went up to Fernandina, and I found there weren't too many things that tickled me the way this did, especially with its lovely gilt edging, and it's gilt all around, which shows that it is quite an old one. And Shakespeare. And the picture here on the front was King Henry V, and a hand volume for Shakespeare. James Miller, publisher in New York, and Henry V. And did I just see something that could very well be an illustration? Ah, yes, there's Henry VI and the illustration that goes with. Needless to say, at the size and the beautiful condition of the mellowing around the edge of those pages, well, I just absolutely had to have that one. But when I find tatting in any way, shape, or form, I'm a goner. And when I see it in prices that show that the seller had no idea that, number one, this was tatting, and number two, tatting is not something you sell for almost nothing. So, look at this bit of tatting, and let me get close to you so that you can really see this. Just beautiful to make tatted lace. And here are 2 extra pieces that were with it. So, isn't that color absolutely lovely? Then I also found this hand crocheted bit of lace in this lovely mellow buff color, and including the bit of thread that was either pulled out or wasn't finished. But this is the kind of thing that was done if you wanted lace. Oh, I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now let me see, which was next? Oh, yes, I found these. These are 3 motifs connected to each other. Oh, yuck. Connected to each other. And the reason I chose these in out of the plastic box was because of the size. And they're in just in lovely condition. So here's 3. Aren't these going to be lovely in a journal? So there's those 3. And some more. Very fine. Very, very, very fine. Tatted lace. It's some, and I used to own the crochet hooks that would have been fine enough to do needle tatting or just plain crochet of this nature. This is on literally this is done with a piece of sewing thread, because here's the carrying thread right there. One single piece. So I just cannot begin to say how this tickled my heart. This piece is another piece of handmade length of lace. And let's see what this one is. I'm not going to take the time. Oh, no, this is connected. Alrighty. Oh, well, live and learn. Look at that. Connected. That becomes double. And that becomes, oh my, I wonder what this was on. Oh, how nice. Oh, this could have been, let me get out so that you can see it. I'll bet this was edging around a bodice. And these might have been the straps. I think that's what that looks like. Let's see. Is that a good theory? Well, I don't know, but I'm certainly happy that I have this hand crocheted bit. That was, these 2 are all wound up together for $2. Be Still My Heart. And more tatting on old linen, and the old linen is hemmed by hand, and then the tatted lace. This motif broke, but that makes no difference. But aren't some of these motifs are in good condition, and won't they be just delightful? couldn't resist that. I knew I was striking it rich when I found these things, obviously, in two booths in a mall. In fact, it's a mall that I used to have a booth in. Along about maybe in '05 and '06. That's when after that I stopped doing antiques because I knew that we were building a house, and when there just wasn't time to do it all, and I was still doing my stitchery, and then I fell in love with mixed media. So those are my lace treasures, and not too far from there is the needle. Oh, excuse me. Now, I found the absolute most delicious, it's a Falcon 3521 from Auburn, Maine, made in USA, wood ruler. And these are supposed to be the rests, which are not too thick, but wood ruler with the metal for ripping. Nothing to equal a ruler like this, and it is really not the way one would find anything that you want to call wood now. This thing has heft. No kidding around ruler. 15 inches too. So, for $2, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. I found not only a wood ruler, but a ruler with the piece of metal still intact, and an old one, and a long enough one for one rip. Oh! I also went around to my my old needlework shop, because I wanted to get Christmas colored 7mm silk, and boy, oh boy, even in the few years that it's been since I did this, $7.80 for 5 yards of pure silk. But Christmas is coming. And when I came home, while I'm still off on that, when I came home, I went in my supply of my own supply of silks, because I do like to bind in silk if I can. I have some white, I had a little bit of red, 2 shades, and I had this wide green. So that's ready. That is so, in fact, I'm going to just plop these in here. I'll probably have to start a Christmas tray, but that's 2 more drawers in the chest in the guest room. Don't want to know about that. While I was cleaning up my little box of silk ribbons, I found these, and I thought these would be what I would have, and at the price of them, I'm not going to invest too much more. But these, I thought would do nicely with fall colors for a fall emphasis. One moment, please. Well, I'm so happy to be back with you. I had a very, very nice lunch, and enjoyed myself, and we had a nice chat. But back to business. These are some Christmas items and some crafting items that I want to be putting in my shop and sharing. As you can see, there are 4 of these vintage wreaths. Let me get a little bit closer. Okay, let's move that over. There we go. So there'll be 4 of those, and then I have some vintage angels. Aren't they just adorable? Those are quite old puppies. And which other girls? These girls are a little newer. These are from the 70s and early 80s. And the pipe cleaner legs are inside here. And these two little ladies are quite old, and they say Japan. And so these are vintage girls. And then these are from the 60s and 70s. And so I have those that I'm going to be sharing on my Etsy. And now let's get out a little bit so that you can see this. I had quite an extensive collection of beaded flowers that you might enjoy having, and some of them are quite large, but they're all handmade. And this one is particularly lovely. It's probably supposed to be like that, but there's going to be, I have this group of these, but oh, look at these. These just absolutely tickle me. These are some individual flowers in pinks, and these adorable little buds, and a single flower similar to this one, and some more little buds. They're done on such fine wire. They're just... This one also, and 3 of these. So those will be coming. But this, I call this the baby's breath. And there are 3 stems that do separate. They like to get together, but they do separate, and they would be so workable. They definitely, I see a way of applying them to our journal covers. So we have 3 separate stems, and I'm not going to take up your time pulling these apart, but when I package them, I will put them in tissue, so that we have 3 of these absolutely beautiful. The amount of work it takes to make those makes what we do seem like child's play. Then I have a pair of seriously old vintage angels. And this one is quite an old girl on a pipe cleaner, chenille and celluloid reindeers. So these 2. But then this one, this is one of those cases in which the person who had these, I believe it was at a garage sale, did not know exactly what it was that this was, but I took some time on this one to look it up, and the value of this baby was very high 2 figures, because they're not found in this condition very often. But I'm knowing that it's time to share. But this is just, I believe with this it looks almost as though it's a gondola. And this one stands up. It was originally 29 cents, and it is I think the idea was that it was supposed to, you were supposed to be able to turn this, but it is still in wonderful wonderful condition. Two of these horns have flowers and supposedly candy canes, yes, because you can still see a little bit of the so-called red and green, and two little angels in the other two. And this also is from the 50s. So I think it's time for them to go to a new home. So these are, let me move these two trays because I have one thing that I found yesterday that I've been saving till last. All right. Yes, this is one of those swags on clothesline. And when I first looked at this, I thought it was cotton. And when my hand went down and I felt this is an array. There's very, very little cotton here, but a lot of this is sari silk, and it is huge. It is huge. The some of the individual pieces, let me put my hand under here, some of these individual pieces are 10 inches long. And the woman who said she made it, I'm not going to question that in my mind, but I don't think she had any idea what some of this fabric was, and so I did not feel obliged to tell her. So I thought, oh wow, this will make lovely additions to for journaling. And I thought, since these are individually knotted, I can slide them off the end and make bundles to share with you. I thought I just went through some of these pieces, and they're just, this one just absolutely screams boho. And look at the size of the piece, the single piece, and the width. Well, I could go on and on. There are some of these that struck me. Look at this one. So, you know that I could not resist having this for sharing. Oh my goodness, this one for the colors here, the jewel tones. Some of these pieces are just gorgeous. So I thought, my, I can take some time and pull off some of these bits. Let's see what happens. Let's do it. Let's do the experiment. Okay. Okay, let's pull off this one, the first one. And they just, this one just opens, and here we have this absolutely lovely. It gets lost in the on the swag. Isn't this just lovely, lovely fabric? And definitely not cotton. Let's go a little further here. I'm thinking that what I will do is just take off some of them and make up packets. Just random bits of pretty. Let's take this one off. Random bits of pretty. So here we have that one, and they vary. They vary in length, which I imagine makes this thingamajiggy more attractive. But let's have another look. My, Halloween. Ah, this is definitely silk. Definitely silk. And look at that beautifully dyed piece of paper. Well, you get the idea. It was a treasure that I'm going to be taking apart and sharing. If you have enjoyed today's Maldive trove and some super items for that will be coming to Etsy, please consider giving me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I would appreciate your subscribing to my channel. I'm absolutely enthralled by some of these things. They are so different and so pretty. What's this? See, I can't stop. Oh, some of this is Bohomania. I think I'll try to make a separate package for that. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? I'm not sure that is silk, but whatever it is, it's transparent. I can see my fingers through it, and it's very pretty. Alrighty. Bye now.